Welcome to Kiki's Chat Show. Today is a solemn show. I'm not going to show you anything about my little video with myself posing and all of that. No, today is a serious day. We have encountered a great loss. And our loss, we're going to talk about it, but it's also a celebration. We're going to talk about Georgette Dede Djaba. There is an adage which says, "Be good to people. You will be remembered more for your kindness than any level of success that you possibly attain." And that's Dede to a T. That is my view of her. This is a woman who I met, and she was like a whirlwind in my life. She joined me in some of my shows on here. We talked about domestic abuse. We talked about physical, emotional abuse, and a message to parents. We also discussed loneliness and its effects on people during the pandemic lockdown. We had a show where she discussed the ins and outs of Black lawyers, her unpaid work with Citizens Advice Bureau, where she had to travel all the way from the north of London to Sutton, dealing with people's immigration and other domestic and serious family issues. My people, let me give you a background of Dede. Georgette Dede Djaba is a British citizen of Ghanaian origin. She was born in January 1961. She worked as an executive assistant researcher to the Right Honorable Paul Boateng at the House of Commons in 1994. She qualified as a solicitor of the Supreme Court of England and Wales in December 97 after training with Foot Bowden Solicitors in Plymouth, Devon. She has worked in local government, legal departments in London, and private practice. She has expertise in immigration and nationality, family and child protection. Now, this is just a small percentage of the person and what she has done. Here today, I have three gentlemen. I'm the fourth one, so three gentlemen. And the first one is Ade Sawyer of Equinet Consultants, who has also been on this show to discuss different topics regarding the diaspora and the way forward in education and business for young people, especially in England, and also our collective concerns for our beloved Ghana. I have Tete Kofi, a renowned international journalist, a humanitarian, and a personal friend of Georgette. I also, lastly, have Pasi Kwe, who's worked on different projects and is also a very good friend of Georgette. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
I hope I described you perfectly. I kind of I gave an abridged version of all the wonderful things that you guys do. However, you are great men in my life. And so I am very proud to have you on my show today. I don't even know where to start, but I would like to ask Ade Sawyer to give us a little bit of a picture of Georgette Dede, and also to, first of all, to tell us how you met and anything else that you'd like to share.
Well, thank you, Kiki. I know today it's kind of a very sad day for me, but what do I say about Georgette? It's kind of very difficult. She's passed on, and I've really not been able to mourn. I've always thought that she would appear from Accra, because I remember on the 30th of when she was going, she called me from the airport and said, "Ade, I'm off to Ghana. I've got my mask on, and I think everything is going to go on brilliantly." Whilst in Ghana, she spoke to me several times. She even showed me a video of the palatial residence that she lived in during that time. Where did I meet Dede? I kind of remember that I was invited to a function at Islington council. I think the Kabaka of Buganda had come into town. He had been an Islington resident. And I think when on his ascension of the throne, he was invited to be given the freedom of the city. And I was speaking to some friends from Tanzania and elsewhere in a group when this lady sort of approached me, stretched out her hand, and just told me, my name is Georgette Djaba. And I did a double take because as a young man, I lived in the Djaba flats in Tesano. So I said, oh, which Djaba? He said, oh, Henry Djaba, the father. And I said, okay, I lived in his flats some years back. But yes, what do you do? She said, I'm a solicitor as usual. Went on and talked. And I said, oh, I may need your services. So we adjourned and sort of went on talking. And I told her that, oh, I'm chairman of Ghana Union and I'm trying to organize lawyers because there are so many people with immigration problems and all that. And the legal advice service we had was breaking down. So I said, Georgette, can you find me some lawyers? And true to form, within the month, she's assembled 12 or 15 lawyers who then came to our offices in Caledonia Road to discuss a program of how they can provide free legal advice to the Ghanaian community on a rota basis. I left them to organize it. And then, of course, in my way of always promoting my Gadangbe culture, since I knew that she was a Dangbe, a Krobo lady, I tried to interest her in joining the Gadangbe Foundation that we had set up. She came to a couple of meetings. I mean, you know, when people are dual heritage, because she was also very much an Ashanti lady. It was kind of difficult. But then she told me that, oh, she attended Dangbe BRP and all that kind of thing. So, I mean, the relationship crossed over from being just talking about community for us to be real friends. And I think that was where I discovered that here was one lady who was prepared to put herself out to help within the community. And I benefited a lot. We talked about lots of things. When she needed advice, she would call me. And what was kind of very funny is that most people call me Ade. She never called me Ade. She always called me Mr. Sawyer, which was for me a sign of respect that although I was trying to bring myself so that we sort of body know this thing, she had, I know, a lot of respect for me. And I tried as much as possible to also provide her with that kind of advice in terms of did they do this, do that. From time to time, there were emotional issues. She allowed me, she talked to me at length. We talked and we talk about all those things. And really, she became a genuine friend. I say that I went out a lot with her, that anytime I was invited to any function, I just, Dede, are you ready to go? So, oh, yeah, let's go. Then I meet her up and we go. So, Dede has been my friend. And I think that I feel a rather big loss because, like I said, I spoke to her on the Tuesday, I think, before she passed. I followed her when she had something important like this. Picture shows Passy and myself at her mother's funeral, fairly tempestuous because we had quarreled before the funeral and we even quarreled on the day of the funeral for whatever reason. But there you go. That's the day. I think the day. I mean, rest in peace. That's what I'll say.
Thank you so much. That was just her. She quarrels with you. I'll tell you one thing about Dede that I began to realize when we became friends was we would argue about something, nothing big, but I disagree, and she was very determined on her opinion. So I'd say, fine, I'm not speaking to you again. An hour later, she'll call me and say, are you okay? Are we friends again? There's nothing you can do but take her back. That is how she was, Or she would ask you, are you cross? Are you upset about this issue? Don't be upset, though. I'm not upset. Let's be friends again. So I really kind of liked her to the point where even when she said she was going to Ghana, I did not want her to go. I did not want her to go. She did. And that's where she passed away. Tete, it's your turn to give us an overview of how you find Dede.
Well, I did said something that he hadn't really been able to grieve properly. He hadn't really been able to mourn her passing. And I felt as if kind of I'd been left hanging by the way she went to Ghana. And I spoke with her once while she was there. And all of a sudden, the next thing I heard via her family was that she'd passed away. I was devastated because, like you, Candy, I really didn't want Dede to go. I just thought that she ought to stay here. And, you know, we were just coming out of the lockdown situation in England. I thought, look, why don't you just let things settle down before you go and do this trip? But she was adamant about going over there to celebrate her big birthday. Now, the way I met Dede was over my newspaper. At the time, I'd published a newspaper called New Nation. And I met her at a function attended by people from her old school, which is mostly girls. And blow me down if this lady didn't give me the most cogent and insightful analysis of the newspaper, what we could do with it, what it was strong on, what we could improve, and so on. And so she struck me immediately as an incredibly quick-witted, intelligent, articulate person. And of course, she was a lawyer. Now, over the years of our friendship, it became clear to me that she had a very mercurial character. She was like a skylark, up one day, down the next. But throughout it all, are two characteristics that I like to recall about Dede. One, this lady was amazingly generous. If you needed her help, she would not count the cost of her assistance to you and would do absolutely everything in her power to give you the assistance. That's the first thing. Dede was generous to a fault. The second thing was, she was amazingly efficient in a way in which I have sadly come to feel many of my countrymen and countrywomen just don't have those levels of efficiency. If you have a conversation with her about, say, contacts for a project or contacts in parliament or contacts in local government, Dede is the sort of person who will give you names. And she'll tell you that, look, I'm going to send you their telephone numbers in 10 minutes. Look at your phone 8 minutes later, and the telephone numbers will be there without fail every single time. I know that she worked on the matter of voting by expatriate Ghanaians. So Dede was always really focused on what was happening in our community and the welfare of Ghanaians in this country. And it's actually unusual, I feel, that for a lot of people who kind of penetrated mainstream British life, if you like Candy, you said, I mean, she used to work in local government and in the local services. She rose to become an executive assistant to the Right Honourable Paul Boateng, MP, now a Lord, and so on. She was incredibly concerned about the welfare of our own people. In fact, one of the things that they always used to rib me about was the quality of my Krobo, because I'm Krobo as well. And she became kind of my Airsart's tutor there. And again, as a testament to this woman's intelligence. My mother is Fanti, by the way. She spoke Fanti like my mum. And then she'd switch to Ghan, then she'd switch to Krobol, and then she'd switch to Tree. It just showed you what a nimble-minded and intelligent, bright woman she was. Last thing I'd probably say is that over the years, I discovered that because Dede was so generous, I always felt she was at risk of being taken advantage of by unscrupulous people. And she was so respectful that, as Ade was saying just now, yeah, it's very, very, very Dede to call somebody like Ade Mr. Sawyer on a habitual basis. She was so respectful that a lot of people kind of took some of those characteristics for granted. And it always worried me that she might somehow be taken advantage of. In fact, this was one of my concerns when she was going to Ghana, because I always felt as if Dede was so busy worrying about other people that she didn't have enough time to worry about herself. And somehow it seemed that, I felt it was my duty to kind of be a sounding board for some of her ideas as to what she wanted to do. It always, always, always did concern me. Of course, on this occasion, she went and she didn't come back. So the last thing is, Candy, is that, when you're bereaved and people enter your life and leave your life, there are milestones which, after their passing, which show you that, yeah, you're really missing somebody. But today's milestones were regular. And that's when I realized how often we used to chat on the phone. Because within a month and a half of her demise, like something happened over here, and I thought to myself, oh my God, if Dede were here, she would have an idea to give you, or she would know somebody to connect with on this matter. She would always, always come up with really bright, really creative, and really useful ideas. So I know I'm going to continue missing her. I really wish her a happy repose. Of course, the family, it's a loss to the family as well. Her two lovely children, who are grown ups, of course, now, but it doesn't matter how old you are when your parents pass, they're still your parents. So that's it. Georgette, a wonderful, wonderful person, and still sorely missed.
Thank you so much, Ted. Thank you very much. Ted, Dede, and I are from one tribe, one very powerful tribe. We are proud of our tribe. And one of the things, that is how we met. She came up to me and she said, I am from your tribe. I am a Krobo woman. I said, really? From where? She said, Somanya. I said, oh, okay. And that's how it rolled. We rolled from then on because that's how we roll. And we always rub each other in a very positive and I don't know. I mean, she was there, always there to say something or do something or help. One day I had invited Ted onto a show and she had sent me a text saying, I'll be watching. Ted's machine failed and she came on and chatted as if I had invited her. I hadn't. It was an amazing. Do you remember that?
It's an incredible show. I'll never forget it. It was
an incredible, unplanned. I didn't know what we were going to talk about. She just jumped in, and that's how she is. Now, one other thing about Dede is she attended Wesley Girls, Wegehe as it's called now, and her She was very proud of her school. And she was always, Wegehe, Wesley Girls High School, is always mentioned in whatever discussion you're having with Dede. She was always ready to tell me, and she's going to do this, and the president is going to be there. And she was like, the president of where? She'd say Wesley Girls. So the president is here to give us a few words about Dede. Welcome, Dr. Isabella Slowden.
Hi, I'm not the president of Wesley Girls.
Okay. You're a representative.
I'm a representative, a year group member.
Okay.
Okay, so I mean, Dede, we're all in Form 1 together in 1971.
Okay.
And we're in Wesley Girls, so 1976. And she was part of the J class. We were the sort of the youngest in the year. And I think Dede was one of the youngest, if not the youngest person in our year. She was an amazing lady. She was lovely. And I heard someone saying that she was generous to a fault. I mean, at that time, Dede used to come to London a lot. And she would come back to school and she would bring all the different magazines and sweets back to come and give to people. She was such a generous person. And one thing that I always remember about her was that I came to England for summer holidays also. And she met me at Leicester Square and insisted on taking me to James Bond to go and watch a movie. And she paid for it. This lady was just amazing. We really, really miss her. And I know everybody's saying that they tried to warn her about going back to Ghana, but believe you me, she was so excited about going to celebrate her 60th birthday. And, you know, I think it would have been impossible for anyone to even stop her. We met on a Zoom, I think the 20th of December, and it was one of our year group Zooms that we had, about 7 of us. And over the period, she was so excited. She was showing us different pictures. We went through different seasons of her life. And it was, I mean, when you think back at it, you think, wow. It was just, and when we heard, and even at the airport, she took a picture. So one of our friends had a picture of her, doubly armed to make sure that she was going to escape COVID. But then it wasn't meant to be. We definitely miss her. The 76-year group in London, there are a few of us here, maybe about 8 or 9 of us. And we used to meet every few months, perhaps in someone's house or at a restaurant, just to spend time and share time together. I mean, when I invited Dede to my house, she would cook, bring food, we'll bring food together and eat together. And we really miss her. But I think that, I know this evening, a lot of people, I mean, just thinking about her brings back some of those memories. And all I can say is that may she rest in peace. And yeah, that's what I can say. And as a year group, we truly miss Dede Djaba.
Thank you,
That's what I
Dr.
can say.
Snowden. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much
You're
for
welcome.
your input, because if nobody had come from Wesley Girls, it would have not been a full picture of
I know.
Dede. She loved her school so much. We
I
used to
know.
argue, compare food. Achimota and Wesley Girls, she thought your school was the best. I thought she was having a joke.
No, she wasn't having a joke. Don't start.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
You have helped to make it a memorial, because it's more of a celebration. It is painful because we are now doing something, but it is still a wonderful celebration. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah. I also have Edmond Kofi on here. He's coming on to tell us a little bit. Edmund, I don't know much about you, so if you can introduce yourself and tell us who you are and your connection with Dede, that would be nice.
I'm a barrister practicing in England.
Thank you.
And I've known Georgette for over 30 odd years. And she was a solicitor.
Yes.
And to her credit, she used to send me work wherever she worked. She's a very dedicated, very committed solicitor. As Teta said, she's very generous. And all I can say is that she's sorely missed because she was committed to the law, committed to assist those who are vulnerable, those who are disadvantaged. Those are the areas of law she specialized in, not the high-paying commercial kind of law. She's doing social welfare law, immigration, housing, family. There is a law where lawyers aren't financially rewarded, but she put a lot of energy into the work she had. She was committed to her clients, fought their corner. She was a true fighter for the underprivileged and disadvantaged. And all I can remember is that during the COVID period, when masks were very scarce, I told her about scarcity, and she went out to her local shop, got some masks, and posted them to me. That's how generous she was. That's a period when people were frightened to go out, to go shopping. She did those kind of things. And it was that same period when her brother wasn't too well. He had suffered badly from COVID, and she had the courage to take action against the hospital. I told her it's a bit dangerous, maybe costly, but she took the view that she had to assist her brother, and she launched a claim against the hospital, which should remain nameless. And I believe that by making that claim, made sure that the hospital took good attention of her brother, who fortunately recovered from his COVID and is still with us. So that shows you the tenacity of Georgette. She's a fighter and a very good lawyer. So she'd be sorely missed in the community. That's all I can say at this stage.
Thank you so much for coming on to tell us about your view of Dede. Thank you also for bringing up this emotional part of her life, which was when her brother was really sick in the hospital, because she was just so determined and she fought to get him to be looked after. And that helped other patients as well, including the ambassador of Ghana, who was in the hospital with COVID at the time.
Yeah.
Yes. So you have brought something up which is very vital and important. And it creates that picture of Dede's generosity from the heart, how she fought for other people. And it is so sad. That is the sadness we feel, that she goes to Ghana, gets COVID, and passes away, when she fought for others to be well.
Can I just say, Candy?
Yes.
I remember vividly that time when her brother was unwell.
Yeah.
Ironically, Dede herself wasn't well at all at the time. But she had some time pressures to bring the action to bear, because she was trying to ensure that her brother got a certain type of attention within a certain time frame.
Yeah.
And there was a lot at stake. She was like a whirlwind. And this at a time when she herself wasn't well, So, then she rang me up and said, "Oh, look, it looks as if things are going our way," and so on. I was amazed. But that's a classical example of Georgette. She gives without counting the cost, because she really wasn't well at all at that time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for putting flesh on bones. We now have Pasikwe, who has also been, I think he's going off now. His internet is not very good, so it keeps coming and going. But in the meantime, is there anyone else who wants to talk about the impact she had on your life? For example, Mr. Sawyer, I know that she had a lot of impact on your life, and I was there with you. We cried together. The whole thing was a shock to the system. She had sent us a photo of herself 2 days before. And I had commented on it saying, who are these people? Why are you not wearing your mask? And I think Mr. Sawyer also commented on it. 2 days later, she passed away.
What was interesting for me was that she didn't tell me the reason for going to Ghana. She just told me that, look, I got to go. My brother, she said it was something to do with her brother. And then when she got there, finally, she then said that, oh, the event for the brother had been postponed. But she said she was having a good time there. At the time she spoke to me, I think somebody had come to do her hair for her. And she sort of showed me around the house, which again was fairly remarkable, because we also made a joke about really the huge bed that she had, and the extent to which she was going to sleep alone on that huge bed, because there was all this salacious communication between myself and her, well, to no effect. But I mean, here was someone for me who could just call and walk into my office to come and have a meeting with somebody. And she was interested in something to do with Commonwealth sports. And I think there was some guy who was doing some Commonwealth stuff things. So they were leading, and I sized the guy up and I said, look, Dede, I don't think that this is serious. But I'm sure that this guy probably needs your assistance in other ways rather than doing this sports program. I must say that anytime I went out with her, she carried herself with some dignity. I must say that. And she sort of respected the places that we went to. It was about her introducing me to people she knew, and my also introducing her to people within the community, so that her friends were widened. As a result of that, I mean, she tried to talk to me about her politics, which was kind of different from my politics. And I always told her that really it was a wild goose chase, and that she wasn't going to get anywhere following the party that she followed. And you know, the funny thing, she went to Ghana, and on air at an interview, she called my name, and she called me back and said that, yeah, I did. When I went, I called your name. I said, Dede, how can you do such a thing? Because it was to do with her. She wanted to take Rawlings to court or something. And I just told her that, look, the fact that you're a lawyer doesn't mean that you should just try and take anybody to court. And she said that, well, she told everybody in Ghana that I stopped her from doing that because I thought it was this thing. Now, yes, there was a lot of tenacity to her life. She wanted to follow things through, but at the same time, she also most times wanted things to be done properly. Yes, I'm sure that there were several people who would have taken advantage of her generosity, but I think that Dede was a lovely woman. I use the word superlative woman. She helped people. She came across as somebody who knew the law. She knew her business, and she put herself out to members of the community, and probably in so doing helped a lot of lawyers in terms of the different chambers that she worked in. And I think that, yeah, I still can't think of Dede without really saying that I do miss her very much. Okay.
You know, Candy, if I may.
Yeah.
I'll just flip this a little bit. Of course, her Wesley Girls thing was. I actually used to say that there were two tribes in Ghana that have not properly been acknowledged. One of them went to a school with piano keys, and the other one went to Wesley Girls. These, I mean, it's their loyalty to that place is tribal, and Dede would do absolutely anything to support, you know, the old school, and even to the point of her facing, you know, facing quite a lot of criticism and so on and so forth. And you know, next time you hear about it, Dede's right back there, right in the thick of the fray. But what I want to mention now is that this woman was an unbelievable cook of everything Ghanaian, absolutely everything. I remember one day we were having a conversation, and I was saying that there are one or two things kind of on my mother's side, kind of fancy dishes like in katsibe and that sort of thing that I just don't get around to eating. And so on. So, oh, don't worry about that. Come over. I said, well, how do you know how to cook that stuff? He said, didn't you know I went to school in Cape Coast? You know, and sure enough, so I went over there, I think with my son was there as well. And she cooked this spread. And it was absolutely delicious. And Georgette is the sort of person that if you go there, there's no need to be shy. You can ask for the doggy bag and she will, with every generosity, just cram you up so that you can take stuff home. But just to say that apart from the professional competencies, apart from the fiery spirit, apart from the ability to network, apart from the get up and go and everything on the domestic front, she was an absolute world beater. Never seen a cook like this before.
Thank you so much for that. That's a powerful addition. Those are the things we need to hear, because yes, she was a whirlwind. I don't even know what to say. Edmund, do you want to say something more, like how she impacted on you, or did she do anything to embarrass you?
No. All I can say that she helped me in my early days was as a junior barrister, you're looking for solicitors to send you work, and it's very difficult, especially for a black barrister as well. And Georgette went out of her way to give me work, so I always remember that. So she was very helpful in my early days practicing as a barrister, and throughout the year, wherever she went, she tried to give me work. So that's to her credit. That support we need as barristers to get work from our own solicitors.
Oh, thank you.
In fact, my contact with Edmund was facilitated by Georgette. I mean, that's the way she brought us as a group, as a community together. Georgette would always say, "Ooh, this is the man you want to talk to for this. That is the lady you want to talk to for this. This is the man you want to talk to for this." And she'd, not only that, you know, the telephone numbers would be there. You know, she'd clear it with whoever she wanted to give the telephone number, and boom, look at your WhatsApp. It's all right there. So I think that's the last thing I'm going to say, Candy, because I actually have to go and prep for
something else.
Yeah, an American program I'm working on right now.
That's fine. That's
so fine. Please see her off proudly, as you all have done, and I miss her terribly.
I have to leave as well.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm very touched and moved that all of you, your contributions have made the show. I have no words really, because this whole thing is making one emotional, but one has to stay professional. And the pain of losing her was shocking. We had members of her family who were going to come on today. Her sister, Nanama, was going to be on, but she has not made it on. And her daughter as well. But I think they're having technical issues. Percy Quay has written a poem for her and a play, but he's back. I think I'm adding him to the stream. So I just want to thank you two gentlemen for your contribution. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
Percy, we are ready for your contribution and your your play. Did you have a play that you wanted to enact?
Okay, let me render a piece here.
Okay.
Let me render a piece. It's a poem. And then if we have time, you still have time for me, I'll go into that excerpt of the dialogue.
Okay.
This one is called Gifted and Peacock. This is the peacock, surely an African princess bird, queenly and proudly perching on firm a tiny branch of nature's mighty tree. The peacock has a swag, noticeable from a distance. The eyes can see clearly, as if with a third sight that sees beyond binoculars. This is the peacock that is not too heavy to open her wings and fly skyland to where only few eagles would dare. This is the peacock that has all shades of nature's fruits of the heart to feed, fresh mother love food of her labor, sweat, and toil. Going on.
Yes.
Turning the page on my laptop. The peacock has the passion to give and never expect a return. She could sing loudly, joyfully, angrily, strongly, mixed feelings of hurt and pain and sadness still standing. The peacock has the talent of great imagination beyond the horizon of the seas. She assumes and articulates the peacock's high knowledge. To shine among a class of outstanding birds so gifted. This peacock is gifted, really gifted. In memory of and dedicated to Ami Dede Georgette Djaba.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it possible for you, Pasi, while you're on here, to tell us how you met her and her impact on your life?
I met Dede at a function, a Ghanaian function at the Africa Center, through an earthly brother of mine called Charles Vanapoy. At the end of the event, we took a ride to somewhere around King's Cross for a meal. And then we drove Dede home. And then we ended up here. And Charles Vanapoy gave me a whole lecture about Dede. Then again, I was an MC at a christening in Edgeware. And Dede came to that christening. And at the time, she was with one Ima Plaha, who also comes from the Dangme region or district. So they got me involved in conversation during the eating and drinking session of the christening reception. And Dede, asked me so many questions about myself. And I was quite astounded. Articulation, the method with which she approached, the questioning and the time, she had to listen to the answers that I was giving her. It was remarkable. And so we became friends. And to cut a long story short, Dede was the one that took me to 10 Downing Street. Dede was the one that took me to the residence of the then leader of the House of Lords, Lord Irvine, whose law practice, Tony Blair, actually started his career. Yeah. Dede took me to so many other places. We went to movies, we went to see shows, and Dede articulated understanding, feelings about some of these difficult plays, the ones that we call avant-garde, absurd. Dede understood and followed all these place. It was incredible. Yeah. I chatted with Dede a few nights before she went to Ghana. I tried to convince her that she shouldn't go because she told me that she went to the bank to raise a loan. And the bank manager said, oh, well, you know, we can't help this time. So I told her that Dede, you and I are broke, you know, so bank managers will not give us loans. But then for some reason, I think by a miracle, Dede managed to go to Ghana. And then a few days later, Ade, who is in the, with this program, called me and asked me what I've heard from Dede. I said, no, Dede wouldn't talk to me because we had a very big argument about she going to Ghana. So Ade said, well, she's there, you know, and a few days later, Ade sent me a picture, you know, of her in hospital. And I was quite amazed because, you know, the picture depicted somebody, you know, with COVID. And I said, I called Ade, I said, Ade, but this is not, you know, true. Because Ade was one person that kept the rules and regulations of COVID, you know. I remember she asked me to meet her at Dawson, you know, train station. And I told her that, well, I don't want to come out, but for her, I'll be out. We met, and Dede was wearing gloves, 2 masks. She was very well dressed to protect herself. She managed to convince me so that we sat somewhere, you know, still maintaining the 2 meters distance. And we chatted for about 3 hours. And for me, that was the last time I physically met Dede. You know, it took me a few months, and Ade helped me a lot to overcome the fact that she was gone. I couldn't believe it. And I always felt maybe she was still in Ghana and would come back. You know, but Ade kept saying to me, hey, Passy, let her go. She's gone. Let her go. And that's how I overcame it. But the pain is still there. As I'm doing this, I'm getting more emotional. So I want to stop here.
Okay, please stop here. Thank you. Thank you so much for the description, the friendship. Thank you. Well, I think we're all emotional at this point because this is something we did not expect. Dede is going to be in all of our hearts in such a way that we may never forget her kindness, her generosity, her general view to life. We will never forget her. I would like Uncle Ade, I call Mr. Sawyer Uncle Ade. I would like Uncle Ade to end this program with a bit of a prayer.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, before that prayer, I wanted to say something.
Okay,
and
yeah.
This was about the fact that, you know, this birthday in Ghana, she planned without our knowledge, but we also intended to do a show.
Yes.
For her birthday. So it was really a question of trying to find out when that show would be done. So when she was in Ghana, she gave me several dates that, I shouldn't worry, she's going to come. And then we'll do this brilliant radio, television show. And I think that is really what hurts for me because I started writing a script of what I was going to say on the show. And I've never really been able to complete it. Even for today that we are celebrating her life, I still feel very bereft of the fact that the day is sort of gone, and will really be difficult to get her back. But if I were to say something again about a prayer, I could probably best borrow from one of the Dan Wolose Lalai, which were actually meant to give people solace when there's a passing of a person, and I would just gently try and render this more in the car. I've been warned that I don't have the voice for singing, but at least I can say something. And so if you'd all listen to me, this is how it goes. Magbanye Sunday, Kengomo, Kawaje Jeneng Boateng, Wemang Fufro, Shomoko Bejendon. And I'm stopping halfway because I'm just sort of getting a call that I don't know how to stop. So let me stop this halfway. And Magbanye Sunday Kengomo, Kawaje Jeneng Boateng, Shomoko Bejendon. Bofe bonu oji wo ha waya ni wana minche eden ake bilemu koli agbole gbefan no ya itomi pam mata iko bilemu koli agbole Dede okay to pakpako ishi ebi mene she won't pa iho ofai ni ledenche nuncho ehelebu ye helu ya Dede yawo juba ye obudencho nuncho mishi.
Thank you. Translation is a song of the traveler. It is a song for the traveler who is on her way. And we have done this for the traveler so that she gets to her destination and she rests. Dede, rest in peace. Rest in peace. Thank you, everyone who, again, contributed to this show. This is not even a show, it's an event. It is an event for Georgette Dede Djaba. We wish wherever she goes to is better and more restful than here. She has done her work on earth and she is now in a better place. Thank you. Rest well. I wish you all well, everyone who's here. Amazingly, we have hit our time target. I am very happy. We have done what Napoleon could not do. Thank you all for coming. Bye-bye. Be well.
Thank you.
Thank you.